Greetings viewers and welcome back to Just Short of Fantastic. This time we have a book report for you to kick off your summertime reading. I would like to dedicate this book report to the Black Lives Matter movement. Please donate your time, voice, and money if you can. Black Lives Matter, justice for Breonna Taylor. And now on with the book report. This book report is Becoming, the much anticipated first memoir of former FLOTUS and general amazing human being, Michelle Obama. I read the ebook version of this, and it has been on my to-read list for the last 2 years, ever since it was published, and I regret not having read it sooner because I am certain that if I had, I would have made much better decisions and been a much better person today. Better late than never, though. Incredibly moving and deeply powerful, Michelle Obama is the female mentor that every woman with ambition needs in her life. I took a lot of notes from this memoir, and I intend on following through on the wisdom, courage, and strength running through its pages. In her 8 years as First Lady of the United States, Michelle Obama saw America in its extremes. Growing up in Chicago's South Side in the 60s and 70s, before spending the 80s studying law at Princeton and Harvard, Michelle's story is a common one of hard work followed by enormous success. What makes her story uncommon, however, is her family background, her skin color, and her gender. Despite these disadvantages within a system built to keep people like her on the margins, she overcame every obstacle in her path. And along the way, she learned just how powerful a story and a voice can be for the thousands of others who have been marginalized by history and society. There was so much in this memoir that touched and resonated with me. Michelle's driven and goal-oriented nature reminded me of my own ambitions, and reading about her crisis of faith in the law profession and her own place in it gave me the courage to sincerely examine my own crisis of faith with the teaching profession. Speaking of the teaching profession and Michelle's school experiences, one incident that really hit home for me were Michelle's memories of being pulled out of her basement second grade classroom when it became clear to her mother that the teacher had given up on the students in her care. This idea of failing before you even get started is a theme that runs all throughout Michelle's life story, and one that she is determined to dispel. Having seen failure overtake communities, individuals, and systems, Michelle wrote her story in large part to give people hope for the future and the courage they need to overcome this feeling of failure. As a memoir, it's not surprising that Michelle Obama writes in the first person, telling her story in a close and personal way. But as the first African-American FLOTUS, her experience will forever set her apart, as does her singular and unique voice full of candid wit. Much of her material comes from personal journals and recordings of events and conversations that took place before and during her family's time in the White House. The book is divided into 3 parts: her childhood and young adulthood in Chicago, her marriage to Barack, starting a family, and her husband's rising political career, and finally, what it was like to be the first Black first family in the history of the United States, for good and for bad. Despite public demand for stories focusing on her husband, this is Michelle's story, her struggles and her successes, and how she will never stop striving. Although it is nearly 600 pages, I found myself flying through my daily page counts, just eager to soak up more of her wisdom and advice. Her narrative, like her life, is filled with wonder and hope for the future. And we could all use more of that right now. Published 2 years into the Trump administration, Becoming is a breath of fresh air. It reminds us that in any situation, there is still hope. We still have a voice, and our voices give us power to stand against injustices. As the world is still in the grips of a global health pandemic, the Black Lives Matter movement is still demanding justice, especially for Breonna Taylor, and the United States is facing a political choice between 2 old white guys. Michelle Obama reminds us again and again and again that change is possible. We cannot concede to failure before we have even begun. Use your voice. Make the world a better place. Recommended. Full stop. Especially for anyone who is looking at the current United States of America and saying, this can't be who we are. It isn't. There is diversity, there is hope. Absolutely recommended for book clubs. It's all a process, steps along a path. Becoming requires equal parts patience and rigor. Becoming is never giving up on the idea that there's more growing to be done. Thank you for watching this book report. Justice for Breonna Taylor. And until next time, stay just short of fantastic.